Chapter 23:01 Heaven Path Dream Realm. The truth was, Fang Yuan had no choice but to use endless trouble killer move that if he had to undergo tribulation, he would need to place the sovereign immortal aperture in the 5 regions and draw in heaven and earth chi. At that time, heaven's will would control them and form tribulations. The calamities and tribulations were not scary. Fang Yuan was confident of dealing with them. But during his tribulation, the other venerables would definitely come to probe and suppress him. But at that time, his sovereign immortal aperture would not be movable because of the deep involvement of heaven's will. If the venerables attacked too fiercely, obscured heavenly secret might not be able to conceal Fang Yuan anymore. Fang Yuan would be exposed. Star constellation immortal venerable and giant sun immortal venerable must also be using methods to delay their tribulations. Fang Yuan was certain about this that in this contest of 3 venerables, nobody wanted to be the first to undergo tribulation. Whoever did that would expose a flaw first and face suppression that if they were targeted too badly, it would be hard to catch up to the other venerables anymore. There would be a danger of dying. This was true for grand tribulations and myriad tribulations, while the chaotic disaster was a huge flaw of the venerables. After using endless trouble this time, I am not far from the next chaotic disaster. Fang Yuan thought. Venerables faced a grand tribulation every 10 years, a myriad tribulation every 50 years, and a chaotic disaster every 100 years. That was to say, after 8 grand tribulations and 1 myriad tribulation, they would face 1 chaotic disaster. Fang Yuan had already used endless trouble many times. He was 2 grand tribulations away from the chaotic disaster that in this aspect. Fang Yuan was the venerable with the biggest problem. After endless trouble was used successfully, Fang Yuan's expression changed slightly. Although endless trouble succeeded like many of the previous attempts, there was a difference now. Fang Yuan felt a faint sense of hunger. After gaining sovereign immortal body, it needed to consume food or it would get hungry. But this hunger was not like the normal feeling of hunger. It originated from his origin. Fang Yuan's expression gradually turned solemn that he knew why. This was the sovereign immortal aperture's desire to eat a venerable immortal aperture. Sovereign immortal body originally had this flaw, or rather, weakness. But in Fang Yuan's estimations, there was still some time left after becoming rank 9.To think that he was already feeling faint hunger that could not be ignored. This was much earlier than he had expected. Is it because the sovereign immortal aperture has grown too big and annexed too many grotto heavens, since even now, I am still bringing in resource points? Fang Yuan vaguely felt that this was the truth. He had developed the sovereign immortal aperture too well. The greatest weakness and also advantage of the sovereign immortal aperture were the non-conflicting Tao marks. But because the sovereign immortal aperture's development was too good, and because of the non-conflicting Tao marks, its foundation was unstable. But before, even with rank 8 cultivation level, I have never felt such hunger. After becoming venerable, this feeling emerged. What is the reason? No matter what, the 4 paths of refinement path, food path, heaven path, and human path hold the possibility of resolving sovereign immortal body's problem of requiring food. Fang Yuan analyzed continuously in his mind. He was most skilled in refinement path. There was no need to explain it. As long as he raised the sovereign immortal body to rank 10, the problem would be resolved. Food path could replenish the expenditure and promote growth. Children need to eat food to have enough nourishment to grow. Sovereign immortal body held the same logic. As for human path and heaven path, sovereign immortal fetus goo was made using the 10 extreme physiques as the main materials. It was a pure human path goo worm. But in the end, it transformed into sovereign immortal body that had the sovereign immortal aperture. In this aspect, it contained heaven path profundity, and the effect of having non-conflicting Tao marks was also part of heaven path. Now, the problem was that these 4 paths were theoretically capable of resolving the issue of sovereign immortal body's food requirement. The issue was that Fang Yuan did not know which path was the most feasible and possible one. Fang Yuan knew most about refinement path. He needed to modify and innovate to resolve sovereign immortal body's issue. Food path and human path were not developed yet. Heaven path was uncertain too. There might not be any solution available. Fang Yuan might have to create his own method. After all, rank 9 sovereign immortal fetus Gu had already broken the balance of the heavenly Tao. It was a grand feat achieved by spectral soul demon venerable. It was very difficult for Fang Yuan to resolve the root issue of sovereign immortal body's food requirement. Even though he was a venerable, he was not confident of doing it. He needed to invest resources and effort to make deductions. After all, rank 9 sovereign immortal fetus Gu was an unprecedented creation. Other than solving the root cause, there were also methods to alleviate it. That was to satisfy the hunger and devour a venerable immortal aperture. This difficulty was quite high. It meant that Fang Yuan would have to defeat a venerable. If there was just one venerable, Fang Yuan might have an easier time. The issue was that many venerables existed now. If one person was too outstanding, there would be a huge chain reaction. Fang Yuan did not have the strength to suppress all the venerables at once. If he was exposed, the situation would be troublesome for him. But if I can annex a venerable's aperture, there is also a good aspect in that I can skip tribulations. This means that if I plan properly, I will not need to take a risk and undergo the chaotic disaster. I can directly skip this huge problem. Thinking of this, Fang Yuan was moved internally. He thought of Paradise Earth. Paradise Earth was killed by him in Crazed Demon Cave. His soul dissipated, but his immortal body and aperture remained. Because he cultivated Heaven Path, the immortal aperture was very stable, unlike other paths. Thus, Fang Yuan was able to preserve it until now. Although Paradise Earth's immortal aperture was only rank 8, it was merely a step away from venerable level. Paradise Earth's immortal body had enough Heaven Path Tao marks. He only lacked Heaven Path attainment level to become a Heaven Path venerable. That was to say, as long as Fang Yuan used Split Soul to take over Paradise Earth's immortal aperture and body, he would gain a Heaven Path clone. A Heaven Path clone with rank 8 cultivation level, but it is only a step away from venerable level. Fang Yuan was moved that if his Heaven Path attainment level could reach Supreme Grandmaster, he would immediately be able to create a Heaven Path venerable clone. At that time, be it to fight against other venerables or to annex this venerable immortal aperture, it would be very useful to Fang Yuan. It is a pity there is only a bit of truthful floating ice left. I've used most of it. The remaining part cannot allow me to become a Supreme Grandmaster in Heaven Path. Spectral Heaven, Ziwei, you can't escape. Duke Tong quickly shortened the distance between him and Fairy Ziwei. Fairy Ziwei's expression was quite pale. Ingwu Xie, who was in her arms, said, "Let me block them. You should escape." Heavenly Court had countless methods. Duke Tong and the rest were revived Gu immortal seniors. Even as a wisdom path great expert, Fairy Ziwei could not hide for long. Most importantly, the environment in spectral heaven changed. The previous black-white overturning clouds had completely vanished. Fairy Ziwei could not use them anymore. Thus, even though she could escape from them temporarily, she would be found by them after a short period of time, and they would catch up in no time. Seeing that Duke Tong was reaching her again, Fairy Ziwei felt despair in her heart. It was not easy to last this long. She was already at her wit's end. Feng Jiugu, when are you going to take action? Fairy Ziwei shouted. Duke Tong snickered in disdain. Ziwei, how long are you going to keep up this act? Feng Jiugu did not appear after all. He was not Shadow Sect's savior. But another change occurred that a pink beast growled and charged at them while covered in an illusory halo. What is this? Duke Tong stared with wide eyes. Dream Realm. Fairy Ziwei gritted her teeth. She flew towards the pink beast and got devoured in one mouthful without dodging it. After devouring Fairy Ziwei and Ingwu Xie, the beast was not satisfied. It charged towards Duke Tong instead of stopping. Facing the intense dream path aura, Duke Tong had no choice but to dodge. Dream Realm? Why is it in a beast form? Duke Tong was helpless. He could not enter or leave the dream realm at will. Moreover, this dream realm was different from what was described in their intel. It could move around and hunt prey. Compared to the dream realm that we are used to, this current one fits the description in The Legends of Renzu. What is going on? Duke Tong was bewildered. While reporting to Heavenly Court, he chased after the dream realm. When the dream realm attacked, he retreated. After it left, he followed it from afar. Afterwards, he discovered even more dream realms. These dream realms had various forms, but they were all beasts, dream realms that have gathered into a group. This is a new transformation in spectral heaven. Duke Tong was increasingly suspicious. He watched as the dream realm that devoured Fairy Ziwei and Ying Wuxia mixed into the group. Duke Tong's investigative methods were ineffective on dream realms, and because they were constantly changing forms, he soon lost all traces of that particular dream realm. He could not tell which one was it. Star constellation Immortal Venerable soon received Duke Tong's information. She sighed as her gaze flickered with uncertainty. Heaven Path dream realms they finally appeared. One of them even devoured Fairy Ziwei and Ying Wuxia. This is all the ploy of Heaven's will. In star constellation Immortal Venerable's plan, Ying Wuxia was crucial. If she could capture it, she would have the best pawn to use against spectral soul demon Venerable. But now, although Duke Tong chased after him, Heaven Path dream realms appeared at the crucial moment and destroyed her plan. In that case, star constellation Immortal Venerable immediately used her backup plan. She contacted and gave orders to Fairy Maiden Soul. This Soul Path great expert received the orders and immediately showed an incredulous expression. Afterwards, she returned to Heavenly Court and entered the treasury, taking out a soul. Next, she placed this soul into her immortal aperture and used her method to nourish the soul while altering its memories. Time passed quickly in the immortal aperture. Several days later in the immortal aperture, Fairy Maiden Soul's modification was completed. She immediately contacted star constellation Immortal Venerable. Bo Qing's soul has already been modified. Star constellation Immortal Venerable received the news and nodded. Now, all they needed was the body of a sword path Gu Immortal. Chapter 2302. Contest of the Three Venerables again. Where am I? Who am I? Fairy Ziwei woke up in a dream. But she forgot about herself as she scanned her surroundings in a daze. She saw that she was in a vast, desolate yellow plain with no signs of life. She lowered her head to look at herself, but her body was that of a mudman. She had short hands and feet. Her body was also hard and dry. I feel like I have forgotten something important. Fairy Ziwei frowned, but she could not remember no matter how hard she tried. She even forgot if that important thing was a situation or a person. She could not figure it out. However, this bleak yellow land gave her a warm feeling of closeness. Home. This word emerged in Fairy Ziwei's mind. But this desolate home made her feel sad as well. Wind blew over at this time. The wind got increasingly stronger, blowing the soil into the air. Splash, splash, splash. There were no clouds in the sky, but heavy rain started to fall. Countless bean-sized raindrops smashed on the yellow soil. Soon, a large marshy land was formed. Fairy Ziwei was in the marsh. Her whole body got drenched as she ended up in a miserable state. But despite the wild storm, her head was always raised and her vision was not blocked even a bit. She discovered that she knew everything about this yellow land. She also had a feeling that she could control this storm. It seemed to be as simple as moving her fingers. Hence, she thought to herself, this storm is too big, make it smaller. At the next moment, the storm really became smaller. Hints of greenery appeared in the marsh and spread everywhere. These were the young shoots of weeds. Fairy Ziwei felt endless joy at the sight of these weeds. This was life. Finally, she stopped feeling alone. Such a pity that they grow too slowly. It will be better if they grew faster. The weeds began to grow faster. With a speed visible to the naked eye, the emerging greenery began to flourish and spread. The grass became taller and covered her feet, and this bleak yellow land turned into a grassland. Some sunken areas were filled with rainwater and became clear ponds. Fairy Ziwei moved across the lush grass and stood beside a pond. Her image was reflected on the water surface as she finally saw her appearance. She was a clay doll made of purple clay. Her eyes, nose and mouth were drawn with golden lines. Fairy Ziwei suddenly realized her identity. That's right, I am this blessed land's land spirit. Central continent, below star array calculation formation, outside of embroidered tower, by Qing, Feng Huang, pays respect to Lady Star constellation Immortal Venerable. A pair of mother and daughter greeted respectfully. Star constellation Immortal Venerable's main body was staying inside embroidered tower. She did not invite this pair of mother and daughter inside embroidered tower. Instead, she used an information path mortal goo to show a video in the space outside embroidered tower. After the video showed the scene of those heaven path dream realms, star constellation Immortal Venerable spoke. Feng Huang, have you seen this kind of dream realm before? Feng Huang had been watching with concentration. She replied, Lady Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, Junior has never seen this kind of dream realm. But, from my speculations, the present dream realms can be divided into 3 types according to their sources. They are human path, beasts and plants, as well as heaven path dream realms. The source of human path dream realms are the humans or variant humans. These are their dreams. The source of beast and plant dream realms are those beasts and plants that once existed or are still living now. As for heaven path dream realms, the source is heaven and earth itself. Star constellation Immortal Venerable nodded slightly. Good. Make your preparations. I will need you to go to spectral heaven to explore these heaven path dream realms in due time. Feng Huang, however, shook her head, refusing firmly. Please excuse Junior for being unable to do it. Junior is only a mortal. I have no confidence in exploring such a level of dream realms, and also have no way to guarantee my own safety. Star constellation Immortal Venerable's brows rose slightly as she had not expected Feng Huang to reject her so directly this time. Everyone went silent. Fairy Bai Qing was stressed out. She wanted to speak, but could not say anything in the end. She felt increasingly suffocated. Feng Huang still had an indifferent expression, seemingly not feeling any pressure. All right, you may both leave. Star constellation Immortal Venerable spoke after a long while. Junior takes her leave. Feng Huang bowed towards embroidered tower and left. Looking at the receding figures of the two, Star constellation Immortal Venerable sighed lightly with a complicated gaze. Ing Wuxia was swallowed by a heaven path dream realm. This was really unfortunate. He was a great pawn to deal with spectral soul demon Venerable, but was gotten rid of by heaven's will. The dream realm could not be explored. That meant that Ing Wuxia was done for. Feng Huang's opinion about heaven path and human path dream realms verified Star constellation Immortal Venerable's own ideas. But Feng Huang was indeed only a Gu master and not a Gu immortal. It was natural for her to be unable to do anything to these dream realms. I cannot conceal these heaven path dream realms. It is only a matter of time for the other 2 venerables to know of them. The contest of 3 venerables may start once again. Star constellation Immortal Venerable was worried, because this was much more complicated than before. Black and white heaven were gone. Only spectral heaven remained. Spectral heaven was the territory of spectral soul demon Venerable. What would spectral soul demon Venerable do if venerables were to barge into his territory? Spectral soul demon Venerable had lost his sanity and was filled with heaven's will. The heaven path dream realms were also the same. What connection did these 2 have? Would they help each other? Spectral soul demon Venerable was weak before. Star constellation Immortal Venerable had no worries. But now was different. Spectral soul demon Venerable had resonated with rank 9 fire Gu, and his soul foundation had surged to a terrifying level after slaughtering billions of living beings in the 2 heavens. If a conflict occurred between the venerables because of the heaven path dream realms, spectral soul demon Venerable was likely to participate and would be an opponent that could not be neglected. After pondering over it, Star constellation Immortal Venerable decided to slow down in refining Central Continent's wisdom path Tao marks. She had to save her immortal essence for the battle. Her intention to get rid of spectral soul demon Venerable became firmer as time passed. Since Ing Wuxia is gone, I need to make proper use of Bo Qing. Star constellation Immortal Venerable decided to create a powerful spectral soul clone. The risk was high, though. After all, tampering with the soul was spectral soul demon Venerable's forte. Fairy Maiden Soul's action was tantamount to showing off in front of an expert, but the situation forced Star constellation Immortal Venerable's hand. She could not afford to care about this. The Bo Qing's soul was filled with sword path Tao marks, which must be paired with a sword path Gu immortal body. This body should contain an immortal aperture, and the higher its cultivation level, the better. However, even looking at the whole world, there were not many Gu immortals who cultivated sword path. There were a few in Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects, but they were all at rank 7 in the whole 5 regions. There was no rank 8 lone and demonic cultivator who cultivated sword path. In fact, star constellation Immortal Venerable's deductions showed that there was only one rank 8 sword path, Gu Immortal currently. Western Desert Lin Clan's first Supreme Elder, Prince Feng Xian, Red Heart Traveler, and 9 spiritual fairies showed strange expressions. Heavenly Court needs his immortal aperture and body. This is related to the contest of venerables and the safety of the world. Star constellation Immortal Venerable's voice was clear and cold. The 3 immortals looked at each other before responding resolutely. Please give us your command. Star constellation Immortal Venerable transmitted her instructions to them, as well as how they should cooperate with Wan Zihong and Zhou Xiong Xi. The 3 immortals gazed shone sharply as they heard the plan and left with great confidence. Star constellation Immortal Venerable was silent for a while. She then contacted the Genesis Lotus Will in Heavenly Court. Genesis Lotus Will had been overseeing Divine Emperor City, but through Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's method, it expanded and split a portion to stay in Heavenly Court. This portion of Genesis Lotus Will in Heavenly Court had one main task, that was to nourish Song Xianzi. Song Xianzi was a legendary immemorial beast. It was a huge vine that connected heaven and earth that it sprouted in 300 years, blossomed in 300 years, and bore fruits in 300 years. The fruits that it created were called vast heaven fruits. If used in a grotto heaven, it could expand the size of the immortal aperture sky. Thus, this vast heaven vine was also known as the 10th heaven of this world. It entered Heavenly Court after an agreement with Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable. It was in unique existence in Heavenly Court. It did not need to follow orders, and only had to provide a batch of vast heaven fruits every 1,000 years. But in the Fate War, it was killed by Fang Yuan's time-cutting edge. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable did not have any methods to revive it. But Genesis Lotus Will that originated from Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable had methods to revive Song Xianzi. Song Xianzi's death is actually beneficial to Heavenly Court. Genesis Lotus Will communicated with Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. In 100 or so days, Song Xianzi's body will be restored. At that time, I will enter and control this body, supplying a legendary immemorial beast's battle strength to Heavenly Court. An even more amazing thing is that the fruits produced by Song Xianzi will contain my will. Using these fruits to reforge Heavenly Court will isolate us from Heaven's will. There will be a new Heavenly Court in the future. Our gains from the derivation formation will belong to us and not be known by Heaven's will. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable nodded. This is a long-term plan and not an urgent matter. Have you remembered anything else regarding the revival of Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable? Genesis Lotus Will shook its head. I know very little about the revival plan set by my main body. I only know that he left behind a self-portrait from which he can revive. But I have no idea where this self-portrait is. How about you, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable? You are Senior Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable's disciple. Don't you know his revival plan? Star Constellation Immortal Venerable heaved a sigh. Truth be said, Master told me he left behind 2 revival methods just in case. The first revival method was Heavenly Court's Qi harvest fruit. However, that Fang Yuan took it before this fruit could ripen. The second method involves the Primordial Origin Treasury. Primordial Origin Treasury? Primordial Origin Treasury was secretly created by Master to store the large number of rank 8 Immortal Essence Stones produced by Ichi back then. The treasury also has Master's arrangements for revival, but I have no way to look for it. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable said that she has no way to look for it, and not that she had no clues. In fact, she had related clues of both Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable and Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable's revival methods. Moreover, she already knew they were in Central Continent, but she could not inspect or probe it, because it would then be discovered by other venerables. With the revival of Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, the other venerables were definitely on guard against the revival of other Heavenly Court venerables. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable needed to refine all the wisdom path Tao marks in Central Continent before she could conceal these revival plans and not be afraid of other venerables' inspection. Even if other venerables saw through it, She could use her terrain advantage in Central Continent to resist the attacks of the Venerables and protect Heavenly Court Venerables' revival methods. Only after Star Constellation Immortal Venerable refined all the wisdom path Tao marks in Central Continent could she start reviving other Heavenly Court Venerables. Heavenly Court's foundation was unfathomably deep. Once the two Venerables revived, they would rule the world once again. After all, the combined strength of three Venerables was unthinkable. They would easily surpass the individual strength of Giant Sun Immortal Venerable and Fang Yuan. Even if Giant Sun, Fang Yuan, and Spectral Soul Demon Venerable allied, they would be weaker than Heavenly Court's three Venerables. It was because of the difference in their ideals. But the Heaven Path Dream Realms appeared, which delayed Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's plan once again. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable needed to slow down on refining Tao marks and save her immortal essence. To prepare for the battle between Venerables, Northern Plains, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable sighed. He did his best, but after absorbing rank 8 Immortal Essence Stones, the converted Immortal Essence was only 70% of the Immortal Essence Stones, and this 70% Immortal Essence was only rank 8 Immortal Essence. I need to get rid of the Heaven's Will, but I don't cultivate Wisdom Path. I also lack Crucial Luck Path Immortal Goo. Maybe I can transact with Fang Yuan. No, I can't reveal any clues about this. Eastern Sea, Heaven Path Dream Realms? Good. Very good. Fang Yuan had been planning to create a Heaven Path Venerable clone not long ago. He was just worried about his lacking Heaven Path attainment level when Heaven Path Dream Realms appeared. It was just that seizing the Heaven Path Dream Realms would probably incite another battle between Venerables. It is better to refine another rank 9 Immortal Goo to help me raise my direct combat strength. Fang Yuan began to secretly refine rank 9 Immortal Goo. He had a lot of Immortal Essence. Even after refining this rank 9 Immortal Goo, he would still have a lot remaining to use in the Battle of Venerables. Chapter 2303, Besieging Lin Clan's First Supreme Elder. Chapter 2303, Besieging Lin Clan's First Supreme Elder. Back in Western Desert, Lin Linzhou suddenly opened his eyes. The immortal formation sounded an alarm. Someone had intruded. Such guts. You dare to invade my Lin Clan's skeleton mountain. Lin Linzhou was surprised and furious, checking immediately that he saw that an Immortal Goo house was violently colliding with the defensive formation. Inquiry Doc. Fang Clan. Lin Linzhou's expression turned serious as he sent request for reinforcements to Lin Clan while fully activating the defensive formation. Ever since Fang Clan started the commotion, Lin Clan had reinforced the immortal formations in many resource points, and almost all the formations had the ability to transport people. So, Lin Linzhou was not panicked as his battle intent rose. He frowned. Since Fang Clan attacked after remaining in hiding for so many days, they definitely made sufficient preparations. I definitely am not Fang Clan's match by myself, but I can use this immortal formation to stall for time. Once the anti-Fang Alliance army arrives, Fang Clan will definitely suffer consequences. Of course, if the situation turns bad, I will immediately use the formation to get out. What? Lin Linzhou had been controlling the formation when his eyes suddenly opened wide and panic filled him. But to his horror, he found that the formation was restricted. Although the formation could still operate, its transportation effect was nullified. They targeted this after all. Lin Linzhou clenched his teeth as he forcibly calmed himself, thinking of a way to get out of this predicament. He felt that not all hope was lost. He was a rank 7 Bone Path Goo Immortal defending Lin Clan's Skeleton Mountain. This was a Bone Path resource point, and he had a huge territorial advantage here. Moreover, Lin Linzhou was stationed here all year round. He knew this place like the back of his hand. After thinking for a while, Lin Linzhou arranged a portion of his will with some immortal essence. While he left quietly, the defensive formation was still defending with all its strength under the control of his will. Fang Clan's Immortal Goo house collided again, creating thunderous sounds. Lin Linzhou's will was shrinking rapidly, but it could still last for some time. Lin Linzhou entered the depths of Skeleton Mountain. The rocks on Skeleton Mountain were dark and let out soul smoke from time to time. Once in a while, the mountain rocks would produce a skeleton. Some skeletons were like humans. Some had animal shapes. There were countless possibilities besides. These bone armors, dark mist crows flew above Skeleton Mountain and fed on the soul smoke. The Fang clan's immortal goo house attack shook the whole Skeleton Mountain. The countless skeletons that were among the rocks were originally motionless. But as the mountain started shaking, these skeletons propped themselves up and ran wildly on the mountain that the skeletons collided and killed each other, creating chaos. At this moment, Lin Lunzhou activated a killer move. He transformed into a large mammoth skeleton and started running on the mountain. He was mixed in among the countless skeletons, becoming inconspicuous. But not long later, threads of water vapor bound him. Friend of Lin Clan, why be in a hurry to leave? Shortly after, a voice entered Lin Lunzhou's ears. Lin Lunzhou immediately fell into despair. Rank 8 Gu Immortal? You are not from Fang Clan. At the next moment, the water vapor ropes moved and bound Lin Lunzhou tightly. Lin Lunzhou struggled madly, but soon, his vision turned black as he lost his consciousness. News of Fang Clan's attack on Lin Clan's peripheral resource point Skeleton Mountain soon reached Lin Clan's headquarters. Shortly after, Lin Clan contacted the Anti-Fang Alliance. By the time the Anti-Fang Alliance reached Skeleton Mountain, there were only ruins. The whole Skeleton Mountain was gone. This is indeed Fang Clan style. Lin Lunzhou was the Gu Immortal stationed here. He cultivates Bone Path and is quite strong. I did not expect him to go missing as well. Sigh, it bodes ill for him. Fang Clan came to make trouble again. Their sins are unforgivable. Once we catch them, we will rip their skin and cut their tendons to relieve our hatred. Just as the Anti-Fang Alliance members were cursing Fang Clan, another astonishing news arrived. Dong Clan's peripheral territory, Dragon Roar Volcano, was also attacked by Fang Clan. The Dragon Roar Volcano was a fire path resource point, but whenever the volcano erupts, it would produce dragon roars. At that time, a sizable amount of sound path resources could be harvested. When the Anti-Fang Alliance reached Dragon Roar Volcano's site, they did not see any volcanoed heavens. Even the underground magma has been taken away. It seems like Fang Clan wants to make a big commotion this time. They went into hiding for some time. It was probably to exchange for immortal goo or killer moves from heaven, refining demon venerable, and increase their strength. Otherwise, would they dare come out? That's right, be it Dragon Roar Volcano or Skeleton Mountain. They are important areas that Fang Clan would not have rashly invaded before. But now, both were attacked and taken. Fang Clan's strength has definitely increased greatly. The important thing is, will Fang Clan continue their actions? Where is their next target? Where is the closest resource point to Dragon Roar Volcano? It is Clearwater Grassland. Clearwater Grassland was a rarely seen grassland in Western Desert. There was plenty of water and lush grasses here, and it produced water path and wood path cultivation resources. But just as the Anti-Fang Alliance was discussing, they received the news of Fang Clan capturing Clearwater Grassland. The Anti-Fang Alliance was in an uproar. Fang Clan's action this time shows extremely sharp offensive ability that was several times more powerful than before. The Skeleton Mountain, Dragon Roar Volcano, Clearwater Grassland. Please take a look. Fang Clan's path is already marked. Their next target is probably Dong Clan's Ascending Heavenly Pit. Then what are we still waiting for? Let's go reinforce them immediately. Dong Clan send a message. Ascending Heavenly Pit is in Dong Clan blessed land, so it is not heavily guarded. More importantly, Dong Clan has not sent any Gu Immortal to guard Ascending Heavenly Pit. Gu Immortals were much fewer than resource points. In general, Gu Immortals were stationed in peripheral resource points. And resource points in blessed land would have fewer manpower. If the Anti-Fang Alliance rushed to Ascending Heavenly Pit without stopping, but when they arrived, the immortal formation was already broken. There was noise coming from the depths of Ascending Heavenly Pit, as if Fang Clan immortals were still plundering resources. We finally caught them. Kill them. We must eradicate Fang Clan, otherwise our Western Desert will have no peace. The Anti-Fang Alliance attacked with a belly full of anger, but not long later, an immortal formation rose from the Heavenly Pit and trapped all of the Anti-Fang Alliance members. We were tricked. Such a powerful immortal formation. I can't even connect to Treasure Yellow Heaven or send a message. This immortal formation prioritizes entrapping and doesn't have much offensive power. Crap. Feng clan intentionally arranged this. They don't want to fight us. They are only trying to plunder resource points. Sigh. What should we do? I wonder which resource point of Dong clans will be attacked next. Anti-Feng alliance members were trapped by the formation and lost their means to communicate at the same time. An emergency news reached Lin clan headquarters. Feng clan's main force suddenly appeared in Evil Spirit Desert and were attacking Giant Spirit Oasis. Giant Spirit Oasis was Lin clan's super resource point. It was heavily protected and could not be lost. Lin clan's first Supreme Elder was still in close cultivation. The second Elder thought for a while before deciding to make a move personally. He controlled the two immortal Gu houses of Lin clan and mobilized as much Gu immortals as he could towards Giant Spirit Oasis. At the same time, he also asked for reinforcements from the anti-Feng alliance. Lin clan's second Supreme Elder mobilized their full strength. This was because he had no choice. Since Feng clan lost their territories, they could easily mobilize all their members. It was extremely difficult for other super forces to resist them. Lin clan's second Supreme Elder had to mobilize enough troops to match Feng clan's crazed attacks. If the mobilized troops were too few, they would just be asking for defeat against Feng clan. But with this, Lin clan headquarters naturally became emptied. Bam! Several figures suddenly landed and roughly killed their way into Lin clan's headquarters. They were Prince Feng Xian, Red Heart Traveler, Nine Spiritual Fairy, as well as Wan Zihong and Zhou Xiong Xian, who just arrived from ascending Heavenly Pit. 5. Rank 8 experts attacked Lin clan headquarters. Lin clan's first Supreme Elder, we came for you. Red Heart Traveler said loudly, if you don't resist, you will be able to live. Nine Spiritual Fairy added inside a secret room. Lin clan's first Supreme Elder slowly opened his eyes and sighed. What has my Lin clan done to provoke such a grand action from Heavenly Court? Heavenly Court is the leader of the righteous path. Why are you sneakily attacking a righteous path superforce? My Lin clan has never colluded with the demonic path. Wan Zihong sneered. Lin clan's first Supreme Elder, stop pretending that you act differently from what you say. You secretly protected Feng clan while colluding with Fang Yuan. Otherwise, how can Feng clan be still at large? Zhou Xiong Xian nodded. I have already gathered sufficient evidence. Lin clan's first Supreme Elder was silent for a bit before laughing. Heavenly Court. Haha. You are truly Heavenly Court. Chapter 2304. Sword Chi takes form. Immortal Battlefield Killer Move. Rumor Cage. Zhou Xiong Xian clapped. In an instant, countless silver text characters emerged and circled Lin clan's public blessed land. These characters were large as horse carriages or small as ants. They weaved together into a huge ball, enveloping Heavenly Court 5 great Gu immortals and Lin clan's first Supreme Elder. Success. Zhou Xiong Xian said with excitement, letting out a breath of relief. A good start was half the success. The other 4 Heavenly Court immortals also looked relieved. What they were most worried about was Lin clan's first Supreme Elder running away. They were all rank 8 Gu immortals. Heavenly Court was fighting 5 versus 1, but it was very hard to catch a rank 8 Gu immortal who wanted to flee. With the conflict between Dao marks, Gu immortals could not easily show the advantage of numbers. These 5 Heavenly Court immortals separately cultivated Wood Path, Information Path, Fire Path, Blood Path, and Transformation Path, which conflicted with each other. Rumor Cage really deserves the title of the battlefield killer move with the fastest activation time. But I did not expect Lin clan's first Supreme Elder to not dodge or flee. Did he see through it? The 5 Heavenly Court immortals conversed with each other through mental transmission. They appeared grandly because they had already arranged a temporary formation outside Lin clan's public blessed land headquarters. Once Lin clan's first Supreme Elder escaped or flew out of the public blessed land, the formation would be triggered and attack him, reducing his speed. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable had personally instructed them regarding the requirement of a Sword Immortal's Immortal Aperture and Body. These 5 Heavenly Court members naturally made ample preparations. Although this formation did not have much offensive power, it was modified by Star Constellation Immortal Venerable herself to target Lin clan's first Supreme Elder's escape methods. Moreover, Public blessed lands always had weaker defense than an individual's blessed land. An information path expert, Zhou Xiong Xin had already gathered relevant information when he moved around in Western Desert. Lin Clan's first Supreme Elder was already trapped in Rumor Cage battlefield. Prince Feng Xian gave a shout and charged forward. He flew to the sky and opened his mouth towards the palace. Whoosh! Flames gushed out of his mouth and landed on the ground, growing rapidly into a blazing inferno. The palace was only a mortal goo house. It crumbled apart rapidly in the inferno. Lin Clan's first Supreme Elder was forced to come out of his seclusion. He flew to the sky and faced the enemies. Prince Feng Xian, however, retreated slowly. Lin Clan's first Supreme Elder, Lin Jianxing, have a taste of my attack. Wan Zihong chuckled charmingly as she took the place of Prince Feng Xian. She activated a wood path killer move. Instantly, flower petals fluttered and covered the battlefield, a fragrant smell spreading along with it. All the 5 heavenly court immortals held their breath. Lin Jianxing had a solemn expression as he pushed forward with his hands. In an instant, Sword Qi rampaged and formed into a giant wave. The wave surged and billowed, washing away the poisonous flower petals. Wan Zihong disappeared amidst the petals and appeared behind Lin Jianxing. She raised her left little finger that had a sharp purplish nail as she stabbed at Lin Jianxing. Immortal killer move, Flower Thorn Stab. Lin Jianxing was struck. His figure paused before Sword Qi rose violently, sealing Wan Zihong within. At the next moment, his previously activated Sword Qi wave moved backwards. The surging giant wave drowned Lin Jianxing and Wan Zihong. The other 4 heavenly court immortals did not do anything to avoid hurting Wan Zihong. The Sword Qi wave disappeared shortly afterwards, leaving only Lin Jianxing, while Wan Zihong disappeared once again. Flower petals fluttered beside Prince Feng Xian, turning into Wan Zihong. Wan Zihong was injured, but had a satisfied smile on her face. Stall him. He is struck by my method. The longer time goes by, the more thorns will grow in his body, hindering his movement and even stabbing him to death. Wan Zihong made her contribution. She retreated and began to heal her wounds. The other heavenly court immortals continued to surround Lin Jianxing, not giving him any time to rest. Heavenly Court made full use of their numerical advantage. The silver characters that formed Rumor Cage began to let out dazzling light. The dense light flowed like water, moving in the air as it gathered and swirled. Next, from the silvery light, silver tigers emerged. The tigers roared and pounced on Lin Jianxing. It was Zhou Xiong Xion's killer move. Rumors become tigers. Prince Feng Xian made his move next. Countless beautiful firebirds appeared out of thin air. The firebirds burned intensely while having deep intelligence. They formed into groups and followed the tigers. Red Heart Traveler also made his move. Bloodlight pillars crashed down. Tigers, firebirds, and blood pillars formed 3 waves of continuous attacks. Lin Jianxing was surrounded by the attacks, but he did not evade. Against the incoming attacks, he shouted grandly as Sword Qi surged out violently and charged towards the tigers. Sword Qi condensed into vines beside the countless tigers and bound them. The vines had countless sword path thorns that pierced deep into the tigers. Painful roars of tigers resounded as most of them crumbled apart like balloons being popped. This time, the firebirds entered the battlefield. Lin Jianxing transferred his immortal essence as the Sword Qi in the battlefield were replenished, turning into fierce wind. The fierce wind killed all the remaining tigers and blew away countless firebirds. The remaining few firebirds were unsteady and unable to gather into a formation again. The bloodlight pillars smashed down, rapidly suppressing the fierce wind. Lin Jianxing was forced to move backwards. After pulling some distance, he released a large amount of Sword Qi. Sword Qi turned into ice walls that confined the bloodlight pillars and ground them constantly. Lin Jianxing neutralized 3 waves of attacks consecutively, showing his extremely profound sword path attainment. 9 Spiritual Fairy did not stint on her praise. Lin Clan's first Supreme Elder's methods have a unique style and are truly extraordinary. I can't wait anymore. Take this. 9 Spiritual Fairy turned into an immemorial desolate beast. Her roars were like lightning as they shook even the Rumor Cage. 9 Spiritual Fairy clashed with Lin Jianxing. Her attacks were filled with great strength, forcing Lin Jianxing to move back again and again. Lin Jianxing continued to retreat, unable to ward off 9 spiritual fairies' charge. Transformation Path and Strength Path Gu cultivators had a unique advantage when they were vanguards in the battlefield. The 5 heavenly court immortals continued to attack in turns, suppressing Lin Jianxing since the start of the fight. Although their Dao marks conflicted, they had an extremely tacit coordination. Their attacks were like tidal waves, continuing without stopping. On one hand, they suppressed Lin Jianxing, not giving him any chance or time to study Rumor Cage battlefield. On the other hand, they were weakening and wearing him down, creating a chance to capture him. Lin Jianxing's sword chi were exquisite and profound, transforming into all kinds of shapes. His extraordinary sword path attainment made even the 5 heavenly court immortals sigh in awe. But he was just one person after all. 2 fists cannot rival 4 hands, let alone when heavenly court had 5 people. As time passed, the situation got increasingly disadvantageous for Lin Jianxing. Strange. What method did he use to suppress my flower thorn stab? Wan Zihong was inwardly surprised at seeing Lin Jianxing moving so freely. Right at this time, Prince Feng Xian suddenly used a killer move. After Lin Jianxing was struck, gray flames burned all over his body. The flames constantly produced firebirds. Lin Jianxing's momentum decreased rapidly as his speed also had an obvious reduction. Seeing the chance, Red Heart Traveler immediately used his killer move, Blood Sun Seal. He coughed out a mouthful of blood. The fragrant blood flew to the air and started rotating. Like a miniature blood sun, it emitted endless blood-red light as it rushed towards Lin Jianxing. Lin Jianxing was surrounded by sword chi. At this moment, the sword chi flew and turned into a giant python that tried to stop the blood sun. But this blood sun seemed to be illusory. It passed through the obstruction and struck Lin Jianxing's chest, turning into a red sun insignia. Lin Jianxing's expression changed slightly. The blood sun insignia showed its effect quickly. It formed into blood red lines. The blood lines covered Lin Jianxing, gradually forming a blood cocoon that it seemed like Lin Jianxing was about to be captured alive. But at the next moment, Lin Jianxing's body crumbled apart, turning into a powerful wave of sword chi that slipped out of the blood cocoon. After flying outside, these sword chi condensed back into Lin Jianxing. He can even do this? No, something is not right. This is not Lin Clan's first Supreme Elder. The 5 heavenly court immortals' expressions changed as they noticed an issue after seeing the situation. They shockingly found that the trapped Lin Jianxing was not the Gu immortal himself, but only a killer move. All along, the 5 immortals had been toyed around until now when they discovered it. He is only a lump of sword chi. No wonder my flower thorn stab had no effect. So that's it. This was not Lin Clan's first Supreme Elder. That's why he did not try to evade when I used Rumor Cage. Zhou Xiong Xian's expression was unsightly as he canceled the battlefield killer move. The 5 immortals once again appeared in Lin Clan's public blessed land. The true Lin Clan's first Supreme Elder Lin Jianxing was standing in the air with his hands behind his back, showing a smile as he looked at the 5 immortals. You finally came out. Lin Jianxing, truly formidable. I wonder what the name of this move is called. Red Heart Traveler smiled warmly as he asked. Lin Jianxing nodded slightly and explained, "This move is called Sword Chi Takes Form." Sword Chi Takes Form, truly a great move. Prince Feng Xian praised sincerely. After this battle, no matter what happens to you, this move will definitely be renowned throughout the 5 regions. Zhou Xiong Xian commented. Although they were played, the 5 heavenly court immortals only looked grim-faced, but had no loss in confidence or battle intent. In the battle inside Rumor Cage, they were also suppressed. After all, Rumor Cage created an information path environment which suppressed 4 of the heavenly court immortals. They did not dare to use all their strength in fear of breaking the Rumor Cage. Even if it was not destroyed, if there were great impacts, the battlefield would still be broken and reveal gaps from which Lin Jianxing could escape. Lin Jianxing stretched out his palm and showed several immortal Gu that were bound by sword chi. Heavenly Court's immortal formation is truly amazing. It seemed to have been modified to specifically target my clan's public blessed land. Is this star constellation Immortal Venerable's method? The five heavenly court immortals could not conceal their serious expressions. The formation they had secretly arranged outside of Lin clan's public blessed land was already taken down by Lin Jianxing, but at the next moment, Lin Jianxing waved his hand, throwing the immortal goo to the heavenly court immortals. The immortal goo have been returned to you. This is my clan's headquarters. It won't be nice if we destroy it. Let's change the location of our fight. The five heavenly court immortals quietly received the immortal goo and looked at each other. Finally, Red Heart Traveler nodded. You have unparalleled grace. I am in admiration. There is a desolate area 3,000 li from here. Please follow me. Lin Jianxing flew out of the blessed land, moving at a slow speed with an indifferent attitude. The heavenly court immortals followed closely after. Chapter 2305. Heavenly Court's Crushing Defeat. Chapter 2305. Heavenly Court's Crushing Defeat. How do we deal with this? Since the formation is already broken, we can only rely on rumor cage. What is Lin Jianxing planning? If he is thinking of waiting for the anti-Fang alliance or Western Desert Righteous Path's reinforcements, he will be disappointed. Wan Zihong, Prince Feng Xian, Zhou Xiong Xian, Red Heart Traveler, and 9 Spiritual Fairy followed Lin Jianxing, while secretly conversing. Lin Jianxing's methods were exceptionally exquisite, ruining the five immortals' plan. And with just sword chi takes form killer move, he fooled them for so long, making these heavenly court immortals feel ashamed of themselves. Lin Jianxing's main body used that time to destroy heavenly court's formation. This made the heavenly court immortals realize that their battle plan had a mistake. They should have designated one person to guard the formation, but in fact, the formation had a certain amount of defensive capability and also had the ability to convey messages if it was attacked. The message should have been sent, even if the five heavenly court immortals were inside rumor cage. They could still obtain the reminder that rumor cage battlefield isolated the inside and outside. The ones inside could not even connect to treasure yellow heaven, but this message would directly rush to rumor cage, creating subtle vibrations in rumor cage as a warning. At that time, the five immortals would know that the formation was being destroyed. They would react to the specific situation and send a few people to deal with it. However, Lin Jianxing's methods were exceptional. He quietly dismantled the whole formation without alerting the five heavenly court immortals. However, he still returned the obtained immortal goo to these five immortals openly. Such magnanimity captivated even these heavenly court immortals under this situation. When Lin Jianxing mentioned changing the battlefield, the heavenly court immortals were too ashamed to continue fighting in Lin clan's public blessed land headquarters. This is the place. Lin Jianxing slowly stopped in the air and turned around to face the heavenly court immortals. The five heavenly court immortals looked around. This desert was indeed like Lin Jianxing said. It was extremely poor with no sign of life and was suitable for the battle. Lin Jianxing, if you don't resist, I will guarantee with my life that your life will be preserved. Red Heart Traveler said with a sigh. Lin Jianxing scoffed. If someone suddenly intrudes your home and frames you for something you did not do, even going as far as to attack you, and afterwards say that they are going to preserve your life, what will you do? Why talk so much? Red Heart Traveler was about to reply, when Wan Zihong suddenly attacked. She disappeared and appeared behind Lin Jianxing in an instant. As she stabbed at Lin Jianxing's back with her 10 sharp, purplish-black nails that were extremely sharp. Wan Zihong was a demonic immortal recruited by Heavenly Court. She did not lack viciousness and also had her own arrogance. Lin Jianxing toyed with her for so long with sword chi takes form. She was already disgruntled. Right now, she still used flower thorn stab, but with 10 times the power. You have a body made of flesh and blood. Let me see how long you can resist this. Wan Zihong's eyes shone with a ferocious light. However, at the next moment, there was a thunderous explosion. By the time Wan Zihong reacted, she found she had already flown far away, as she could only see the back figure of Lin Jianxing, who had been so close to her. And because of the long distance, he was as small as her palm. What happened? What killer move is this? Wan Zihong just had this thought when an intense pain assaulted her. As she coughed out blood and found to her horror that her defense killer move was almost destroyed completely. What in the world was that move? The other Heavenly Court Gu immortals were also extremely shocked that Lin Jianxing's method was too fast. The Heavenly Court immortals did not see it clearly. Zhou Xiong Xian quickly retreated and pulled some distance apart. 9 spiritual fairy, however, transformed into an immemorial desolate beast once again and attacked Lin Jianxing. Under this situation, the sturdy Yan tough transformation path Gu immortal was the best choice to probe the enemy. Boom. However, with a thunderous explosion, 9 spiritual fairy was also sent flying. 3 of her ribs were broken at the very least at this time. The other Heavenly Court Gu immortals were able to barely see the killer move. This was a sword path killer move. It was formed from sword chi, and was so fast that it was almost impossible to catch it with naked eyes, even with investigative methods. They were only able to barely see it. This move is called sword chi lightning roar. Please appraise it. Lin Jianxing said before counterattacking. Bam bam bam. Thunderous explosions rang again and again. The 5 Heavenly Court immortals were actually forced back. Naturally, Lin Jianxing did not use just his sword chi lightning roar killer move. He occasionally used sword chi takes form as well. Sword chi takes form killer move was exquisite and profound, while sword chi lightning roar was fast. It was extremely fast, so fast that the 5 Heavenly Court immortals could not even see it properly. For a while, they could only use defensive methods to resist. Lin Jianxing actually had such methods. Protect me. Zhou Xiong Xian secretly transmitted his voice. Red Heart Traveler immediately flew in front of him and activated Majestic Bloodlight. The Bloodlight was like a sphere that completely covered Red Heart Traveler and Zhou Xiong Xian. Zhou Xiong Xian had just prepared his method for a few breaths of time when Lin Jianxing sensed it. Lin Jianxing pointed at the blood sphere. In an instant, at least 3 sword chi lightning roar attacked, rapidly destroying the blood sphere. But Zhou Xiong Xian laughed loudly. You fell for it. He had already finished preparing and was only intentionally delaying to create a deception of activating a powerful killer move that needed a long period of time to activate. After all, a killer move with longer activation time was often more powerful. Zhou Xiong Xian cultivated information path. He activated the move, but it could not attack actively. However, if the enemy used a killer move and was blocked by this move, it could capture the information about the enemy's killer move and give a warning to Zhou Xiong Xian. Zhou Xiong Xian received early warnings. He quickly used information path methods to share the effect with the other 4 immortals. The battle situation had a clear change. The 5 Heavenly Court immortals finally stabilized their footing and began to exchange attacks with Lin Jianxing. Lin Jianxing's sword chi lightning roar killer move was extremely fast. It would hit the target before they could even react. But Lin Jianxing still required time to activate this killer move. Zhou Xiong Xian's information path killer move would give early warnings to Zhou Xiong Xian and the rest. When Lin Jianxing started preparing sword chi lightning roar killer move, adding on this little time, the 5 Heavenly Court immortals were barely able to react. Both sides fought intensely, but the Heavenly Court immortals were actually unable to grasp the control of the situation and were still being suppressed by Lin Jianxing. How is this possible? He is actually so strong. This does not match the intel we have. Sword Chi Lightning Roar and Sword Chi Takes Form are already brilliant moves. His combat awareness is even better, far surpassing mine. The Heavenly Court immortals were inwardly shaken. Lin Jianxing did not just rely on the 2 moves to dominate them. He showed his terrifying strength as well. There was no strongest Gu worm. There was no most powerful killer move. But there was always a strongest Gu immortal. Lin Jianxing was nowhere near number 1, but he vaguely surpassed the 5 Heavenly Court immortals. Our paths are different and impede each other. This will not do. Lin Jianxing has such battle strength. He needs to be weakened for us to have the chance of using Rumor Cage killer move. Let me try. The 5 Heavenly Court immortals discussed quickly as Prince Feng Xian stood up. He sent out lumps of sparks, which covered the battlefield in just a few moments. Lin Jianxing's surging sword chi were actually burned by the sparks and whittled down rapidly. Lin Jianxing was momentarily stunned. His vital immortal Gu was rank 8 immortal Gu sword chi, be it Sword Chi Takes Form or Sword Chi Lightning Roar. They both used sword chi as the foundation. Prince Feng Xian's move actually burned his sword chi, which broke his battle foundation, that at least half of Lin Jianxing's sword chi were burned. In an instant, his strength fell rapidly. The heavenly court immortals used this chance to counterattack. That after several exchanges, an opportunity appeared which was grasped by Nine Spiritual Fairy. Nine Spiritual Fairy turned into a willow tree. Its branches coiled around Lin Jianxing like a python and bound him to the trunk. Using this chance, Zhou Xiongxian quickly used Rumor Cage Battlefield Killer move. Seeing that Lin Jianxing had fallen into the Battlefield Killer move once again, the five immortals' spirits rose. But at the next moment, Nine Spiritual Fairy let out a painful cry. That her willow tree immemorial desolate beast form disappeared as she returned to her human form. As she retreated in panic with her whole body covered in blood. What happened this time? The other four heavenly court immortals were astonished. Careful. Nine Spiritual Fairy was shielded by Zhou Xiongxian. Her expression was still full of shock along with a trace of fear. Lin Jianxing got rid of the bindings and smiled, his aura rising slowly. Yet the heavenly court immortals turned pale when they sensed this aura. That's pseudo-venerable. He concealed it really well. He is actually a pseudo-venerable. At this point, Lin Jianxing finally showed his full strength. Translucent milky white strings emerged around him. That the strings flew towards heavenly court immortals with an extremely fast speed. A sword path killer move. Sword chi threads. It was this move. Nine Spiritual Fairy reminded if the other four heavenly court immortals were solemn. Transformation path. Nine Spiritual Fairy transformed into an immemorial desolate plant, but was beaten miserably by this move. They naturally could not treat this lightly. Red Heart Traveler activated all of his defensive methods as he took the lead in facing these threads. That the threads had extreme sharpness that could not be expressed in words. They directly cut straight through. Red Heart Traveler might have been cut into pieces by the threads if he had not reacted fast enough and pulled apart some distance immediately. This move cannot be blocked. The other three heavenly court immortals also probed the power of this move and reached a consensus that the thread's sharpness was unimaginable. Even the powerful heavenly court immortals could only flee and evade. Lin Jianxing did not move. He sent out more and more threads that gradually filled the whole battlefield. The five heavenly court immortals made an awkward discovery. The battlefield they wanted to trap Lin Jianxing in became an obstruction for their own dodging attempts. They finally realized now that Lin Jianxing changed the battlefield not to stall for time, that the reason why he returned the immortal goo was because he believed he could fight all five of them alone. He fight the five heavenly court immortals head-on. Lin Jianxing, you are really underestimating us. Cancel Rumor Cage. Let me activate my strongest method. No, let me go first. Facing such a powerful Lin Jianxing, the five heavenly court immortals decisively canceled Rumor Cage and used their strongest killer moves. Lin Jianxing's smile did not go away as he activated another method in an instant. Sword light flew everywhere. Sword path killer move. Sword light disintegration. Bam bam bam. In this battle, Lin Jianxing won against five opponents alone. He killed Wan Zihong, severely injured Zhou Xiongxian, Prince Feng Xian, and Red Heart Traveler, while Nine Spiritual Fairy who shielded their retreat was captured. After this battle, Lin Jianxing's name shook the five regions.